Carolyn here to share more information for your Ascension and Awakening journey. So today, what I'm going to share is another client conversation. You're used to these in the past few videos where I've shared really interesting portions of conversations, particularly with one individual who has said to me, yes, please give clips of the conversation to your subscribers so that they can use it for themselves. So what I do in these sessions, this kind of gives you an example of how I work in these channeled sessions. I do channel information fully through these sessions, and what you need to understand about this client, though, is she's what I'll just say supercharged and has a lot of information herself. So this is a back and forth conversation, and we just go where Spirit takes us. So what I want to do today before we get started in you listening to about 30 minutes of this is kind of set this up for you as to what you're going to hear, and then I'll close out at the end as well. So I'm Carolyn, I'm a channel, I'm a distance energy healer, and I'm a spiritual awakening mentor. And I offer these videos to help you along your awakening and ascension journey. So my goal is always that you take at least one thing away for your journey that feels resonant to you. And like I've said, toss the rest aside. But hopefully you'll find something that you have learned or that will help you in your own journey. So if you're interested in following me further, you can check out the link below in the description box. There is a video that you can get on Flow, how to create it in your body for health and wellness. But really kind of more importantly, it leads you to my email list where I send you a Light Keepers channel every week of support. It's typically poetic or it's a saying, and you will usually get that on the weekend before the week to come. So hopefully you'll join me there to get more content. Also, I always forget to mention this. I have Facebook, Purple Rain Healing. Just type in Purple Rain Healing. You will get all my poems because the Light Keepers do poems and they're beautiful. They're supportive, and the energetics behind the words, they have told me, are very important for us to carry forward because the words carry energetics. So they'll assist you forward in your journey as well. With that, today, I'm going to go ahead and kind of set this up for you. What we had done in this clip is talked about, first of all, kind of May, June, July. And those of you who've looked at my video previous to this, I talked about the May energies, but I stepped back into April to talk about that. We're talking about her experience and my experience and a little bit more of information. So there's a little bit of a summary again of that. But then what we do is we talk about the energetics and we start rolling into the whole conversation around ascension in general and what that really means. And honestly, some of the mechanics behind it, which I thought was fascinating. So that was channeled information. You're going to see that as it comes through. And so this morphs then into how that process works, what it looks like. And then we essentially come into a conversation about Jesus or Yeshua, and as they gave me visuals with respect to ascension. From there, we segue into a conversation, and there's actually a link between this and what we were previously talking about. We segue into a conversation about how we will shift and change in this ascension process, and what we end up focusing on is thought form communication. Communication without words. And what we do is we start talking about autism. So it's an interesting discussion, honestly, one that I did not expect and gave me some real revelation. So again, like I say, a lot of things that I bring through are new to me. And I'm like, oh, wow, okay, so I'll take that as part of my understanding and use that moving forward. So hopefully you'll be able to do the same thing. So we talk about autism, we talk about thought form communication, we talk about where we're transitioning to as humankind continues to ascend. And there's a lot of conversation around those with autism and what does that really mean. So I hope you enjoy this video today, and I'll leave you with some commentary at the end. But again, it's my client and myself having conversation. I know many of you have enjoyed this before, and I hope you enjoy this one as well. Here you go.
There it is. And that's when I had a massive opening of my mind. My consciousness went boom, wide open again.
When was that?
This was like 3 days ago.
Okay, because this has been, just to give you an idea for myself, and of course we have different experiences, and I've talked to other people too since my video went out, but this has been like literally the last few weeks, some of the most significant shift and change for people individually. which also means collectively, but like really noticeable stuff, energetic stuff.
Yes, very much so.
And you are very much right in there with that. Wow.
I mean, you're talking about it. We're talking about like blood, like, you know, as I'm describing it, feeling to me, as we know, you know, we kind of, at least I didn't, and now I'm understanding it. There is a huge, massive thing playing out that's going on within us.
Completely.
Okay? So I'm talking about, oh, my body's feeling this and my body's feeling that. There is a correlation on a huge level that's going on, right?
Yes.
So when I'm saying there's a blast, like there's hundreds of beings involved. There's huge groups. There's massive energies involved in this thing that I'm feeling in my body. And I'm actually getting the storyline. I'm actually being able to hear and see some of the storyline that's happening. And it's made me realize just how much our body is doing, just how much our being is doing.
Oh, completely.
That we're not aware of.
I agree with you. When you started to say that, they started saying the world within us, meaning within each of us. And okay, now they're saying the universe within each of us. It's almost like, okay, now they're showing kind of like a turning inside out, and that within us is the whole of the universe within each of us.
Yes.
So the battle, this in each one of us, since we're part of one and the wholeness, the battle is within each of the whole of the universe is within us.
Yes.
Yeah, and they're showing a kind of a turning inside out, but that each of us fights the same. But I mean, we're fighting going through the same thing, I guess I would say, in this body, in this vessel that is really the universe within itself. Oh, they just said we are the universe incarnate. Well, that makes sense, though.
Yeah, it does. There is a component of it that, yes, that is the universe within it, and we're working things out within us. But then there's also a component of interference with the creator, with the human.
Yes.
And how it will, I don't know if there's an actual, what's going on within has a way to cross dimension or get into and interfere with the human, hoping that they can change events in the universe. Is that possible?
I think they think it's possible. That yes, I am getting. Oh, I just heard the manipulation. What they're showing me is within each individual, there's a potential to change things within each of us, but which is part of why, going back to like this self-care routine, the taking care of oneself, rather than, it's almost kind of like the same idea of when we don't care for our energetic body or our physical body, we allow openings in our auric field for lower energies. It's the same idea. So it's almost like each one of us is important to the whole. Okay, I just heard the word infiltration. They can infiltrate into the individual. Let's just say somebody is compromised, okay, in the sense of their auric field or whatever is in my example, and they enter in, okay, and they take control in essence. It kind of feels like, they just said the word, they just said antivirus, but then they said virus. So they're trying to explain it through computer terminology like we might understand. So what they're showing is this virus going into the individual, taking control. They just said running a false program, which then every single person is important to this, which is why light workers are super important and need to do the, all the things we've been told we need to do, self-care, all of this, the energetic work, blah, 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 because we ultimately are helping carry that, like what they're saying, weights or scales. They're saying the balance of. So in other words, we offset what's happening to other people, if that makes sense, that have been infiltrated, is what they're saying. Now, you're a good example of that in 3D. What we would be saying, and what they're showing me is, and it's so insidious. There's so much out there that is. Good example is in 3D. I'm just going to use how people go into conspiracy theory. I mean, you know what I'm saying? And they can't, there's nothing else in their life but that. This kind of entry, there's different ways to enter, but then it's like they take the controls, is what they're saying, of each individual, or they attempt to. Now, it doesn't mean, there's all different kinds of experiences too, is what I'm getting, and they can't get into everyone.
Yeah, and see, this is the thing I'm thinking about. Okay, there's like alcoholism or some of these things are healthy, but then, some of the stuff that I've been experiencing is actually like like snatching and pulling you into a side dimension. Things that you might say, people have talked about before, like being abducted or whatever. I don't know. There's some of these things that are full blown, like they're not just waiting for a crack in your
this last month has, they just said the tables have turned. Okay. What I was going to say is this last month has been kind of unlike any other month that I have personally experienced. And then as I'm talking to other people, they're having similar commentary, just like you're having similar commentary. And so then in me thinking that before I even said it, they said the tables have turned, meaning, they just said toward the light.
Yeah.
Okay. But then again, they go back to, it's not always going to look like it on the outside because those manifestations show up. It's like a delayed reaction in a way.
Yeah.
In that breaking down is going to show up as things that don't look great in humankind.
Okay.
We're going to have a big June too. I think we're going to see a lot go down energetically, but it's actually going to boost us forward, even though it's not going to look like it to maybe the average human.
Yeah. I think that we're going to have big hits all along. I think every month is going to be a big one. I think we're going to, even when we take sit back for a second and take a breath, it's still going to be more intense than what we're used to. It'll just feel like a break.
Yes.
What's coming in.
And we actually have a break here in May.
I feel this impatience, and it's not just my human. I am impatient on my human level, but I feel this underlying impatience of enough is enough.
Yep. And I just heard sense of urgency.
Yes, there's enough is enough.
Yes. Now
we'll move it now. And we're going to do it as we're going to move because we can handle this.
Yes.
And the thing is the some of the stuff that's going on that we're having to deal with is very difficult. And I was thinking, if you're worried about what was going to happen as we not being too hard on us, it's like going in the other direction and having it being a little bit turbulent going the other way is a much better option, in my opinion, than is to be, cycling in this really low kind of tricky stuff.
Oh yeah, totally.
So it's like, if we're gonna be resilient, let us be resilient as we're rising.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Okay, the great division between the old and the new is what they're saying.
Okay.
So we're going to notice something, I think, major in summer in how we feel and how our trajectory, and I've already started to notice this in just the last couple of weeks for myself. Like, my life is so different than what it was. And remember, this is all inner. Like, if you looked on the outside, you say, well, Carolyn's life has been the same for, but it's all inner stuff. Yeah. And it's all, well, I shouldn't say that. It is manifest on the outside too, I will say. But I mean, point is
it'll start to show up on the outside.
Totally.
Absolutely. But yes, I totally understand what you're saying. It's a inside job, as they say, and it really is.
Right.
You're inside. Everything changes on the inside before it starts to appear on the out.
That's exactly right. Yes. Yeah. But we're going to very much, I think we're going to notice more of an impact of that. Okay. Okay. So what they just said to me is what you just said, meaning me, and what we're just talking about, the shift and change, we're going to feel even more in the summertime. I think the equinox, the solstice is critical to that whole time frame of June to this. Oh, they just said up leveling. Yeah, that makes sense. They just said more to come. It kind of feels like, this last year, 2020, I was always and a lot of people felt this way, a little stagnant. I need something different, shift and change. When's it going to happen? Blah, blah, blah. Like you're just stuck. Well, a lot of us think about it as, at least I do. I'm like, well, I just need to go travel then, or I need to go do, I need to do a thing. I need to do a thing in the 3D world, an action, right? No, it's the world inside of us that was changing. The world inside of us that was changing, and that then is now going to be manifest in the outside. It was, and what I was doing a lot of over the last year is looking to the outside going, okay, what do I need to go do? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
When in reality, what happened ultimately, this is what's happening to a lot of people, it's happened to you too, is toward December, I started clearing 4 past lives, and that has continued with me now for the last 6 months. And I've just recently.
Oh my God, I've got stuff going through me like, it clears. I'm like, that is so massive, there can't possibly be any more.
Totally.
And then another one will just kind of come in, and then we'll do that one, and I'm like, oh my God, so
yes,
there's so much clearing through my being right now. But I could say that the last 1.5 to 2 years for me have been the least amount of doing I've ever done on the 3D plane, but the most amount of doing that I've ever done energetically. Eventually.
Absolutely.
My being has done so much, and I felt it in this body, but I haven't actually done anything really in my human life. It was really like a shutdown almost of this.
Yes.
And just so much activity in my being.
And what I'm getting is the COVID time, the 2020 episode. Now remember, there's always two sides to the coin, but point is this was to allow us, they just said to facilitate this, the quieter times, because everybody, even if it was something little to something extreme, had quieter times. And we needed that. We needed that for this transition. So, But this is becoming manifest now. We're starting to really, they just said the great leap forward. See, I kind of thought 2021 was going to be like this. They talked about at the end of the year, when I was looking to have them tell me more about 2021, they were talking about a great year of creation. Well, see, and so what I do, I still do this thing in my head because I don't, still human. I think 3D lots of times. And I that's one of my issues too, is like, it has to be a thing on the outside. Well, what I kept thinking is, we're going to create a thing. We're going to create stuff. We're going to create. No, it's about the creating inside of us that then shows up later. So the creation is happening inside of us, the clearing of the lives, all of that. We're creating something new. We're clearing out. We're allowing that opportunity for new creation.
We're allowing Creator to get in.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. So it's clear. That's part of the clearing process. I think is allowing our full Creator being to embody.
Yes, within the human body. You made a really good point. I think it was last time we talked how the ascension process is designed for what the intention is for us. I think you said this, to take the body with us, right? Didn't you say that?
Yeah. It is to take to ascend, but it's, I always think of it, we always feel like it's moving up, but actually what it is doing, it is allowing up to get in.
It's allowing what?
Bringing up we're allowing, so like ascension, you can imagine it moving up.
Oh, right.
Taking our body somewhere else.
Right.
But what we're actually doing is we're pulling it into the body. So we're pulling up into the body. More of a meeting halfway. It's a meld.
Completely.
Where the body is being utilized for that particular thing, I think.
Yes, because if you think about how we talk about these things that we experience, it's about, the light coming in or the energy coming in. I mean, it's opening us up inside, whether it be our chakras or whatever it is, right?
Right.
Yep, allowing in. It is a melding.
So I'm kind of excited about I was saying we're taking the body with us, and I'm like, okay, I love that, that we're taking the body with us, but I also feel like, we're not limiting the body to anything either. We're not saying, okay, this body has to be able to do X, Y, and Z. I'm like, we're free to bring in all kinds of assistance, support, upgrade, get the body, changing. It doesn't have to be, good. I thought about it and I'm like, okay, don't overthink this, Jennifer, but we're saying we're taking the body with us, not to the point that we are slowing ourselves down because our body can't. The body is also available to be upgraded with frequency and light bodies, so that the body can move quickly.
Yes.
The body's not holding the consciousness level down, is what I'm saying. So the body should be able to ascend, I guess, as quickly as the consciousness will allow. You can't have, there's always people waiting for the next thing. We're saying, we're waiting on your body. We have to be able to balance that too. So I'm excited, and I want to see, and I'm really kind of pulling that in for myself, is the next layer, the next levels, and the upgradable body that is still the human body, but it is the more advanced version. I feel sometimes I feel that we're like kind of a light body, and I feel like I'm taller, like I'm a lot taller actually. And my body is just super lightweight.
Yep, they just said dense. Yeah, they just said you expand out your body to incorporate the light, like it's the so that's actually accurate.
That feels amazing. There's nobody that's going to be like, "Ooh, I can't handle this."
They're talking about expansion.
That's like a gift. Everybody would love that.
Yeah, they're talking about expansion.
I don't know if there's a body out there that wouldn't be able to take that. That wouldn't be an improvement for. So,
totally, exactly. You know what they're showing me?
Rip on that.
Yeah,
There are light bodies in here.
So they're showing me Jesus or Yeshua, and they said when he ascended, because remember there wasn't a body, right? Yeah. There was no body ultimately that they had. They said he was trying to show us what can be. In other words, that's the idea. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Of what can be. In other words, he took his body with him. He ascended.
So he was the 3 days. He was and supposedly dead, right. And then he reanimated.
Right.
With his subtle bodies. So that he dropped the old kind of some other versions. He was able to drop some and then bring in other subtle bodies and then ascend.
Exactly. Because there was. And correct me if I'm wrong. If
the story is correct, I believe that's how it happened.
Yeah. Because there was no body, right? The body was gone when they went into the cave.
Yes, I think the physical, corporeal body went because of the subtle bodies that came in to reanimate.
That's exactly it. And so he was. I've not heard this where they said he was showing what can be, can be, right?
I think it's the same struggle that you and I are starting to run into that we were talking about last week. It's like when we start to talk to people, we struggle now to find a way to, and if you can imagine, the more and more your consciousness rises and the broader your understanding becomes, how much more difficult that's going to be.
Completely.
Where you almost start to have to speak in metaphor, a lot like what he did.
Yes, he did.
In order to, if you were, not to patronize anybody, but almost like you're speaking to kindergartners.
That's true.
About a topic that's very complicated.
Very true.
You would have to turn it into some kind of a story or turn it into something.
Yes.
So it's cryptic sounding only in the sense that he had to struggle to explain something at a level that could be even remotely understood.
Yes, and they're talking about, as you say that, and you're exactly accurate, is that it becomes even more difficult the higher dimensionally you start seeing things.
Yes.
Because there's such a gap of understanding is what they're saying.
Right. And then language is, people, a lot with our kids too, I think some of these nonverbal kids, they've evolved past language. Yes. So actually trying to speak or try to communicate with language or interface with language is almost like, it's like what I was explaining to you. It's like having your consciousness, it's like lowering your consciousness level in order to try to get at a level where you can interface with language. Yes. And it's painful.
Yes. Because they're not used to that. That's exactly right.
It's not a nice feeling at all. So I don't blame, even like I told you with my son, even when we're typing, sometimes I feel like he feels like he's tapping words out on stone so much to have this conversation,
Do you want to know what they're showing me? This is kind of funny because, the whole humor thing they use. They're showing him rolling his eyes like, oh God, here we go again, or like someone that is of his nature, having to lower their frequency to do words and rolling their eyes like, oh Lord.
I get it. I'm watching him and I'm getting that totally. I'm like, I'm sorry, dude. I know, I'm trying to get more telepathic all the time. And so I know he's meeting me halfway. But yeah, I can tell. It's just when you get into a space where you start feeling the energy and getting the communication at the speed, even talking now for me seems a little tiring.
Sure. Sure. I totally agree.
I can only imagine he never slowed down that much. right? He never slowed down as far as we did to be here. He came in full speed, you know. So I can imagine it's very difficult for him.
They said the word savant. They keep saying savant as we're talking about him and autism, and it's just, they said savant light. When someone is on the autism spectrum, they said that there's a savant-like piece of them inside. It's just that everyone's different in what that is. Does that make, and it lots of times can't be found by us in 3D because we don't have that understanding. Does that make sense?
Because we're not a savant.
Exactly.
That's the hilarious thing about it is they recognize each other very much so.
I would imagine
that happening all the time. But yeah, it's not easy for you to pick up on it if you're not in that frequency or
yeah. And so have you noticed this? Because they're showing this, like when autistic kids are together, do they communicate together? Can you tell?
Oh my God, totally. Yes.
Yep. And is it a lot? It's through thought.
It's all through thought. Everything is through thought, and it's super fast, and it's very, very depth. And there's a lot of depth to it. I always feel like this huge vortex of like just stuff flying everywhere. I always feel this massive amount of energy. I pick up on a lot of their stuff. I was laughing kind of with them one time because I pick up on a few of it. There's all of these kids that type to communicate, and all these parents standing around and coaches, and they get together in these groups and they type, okay? And we're all sitting there with them. So we're all getting together so they can talk to each other, right? This is quote unquote. So the kids can talk with each other, and their coach is there and their parent is there, and we're all there, the typing coach and all this stuff. And we're sitting around and they're all looking at each other. And I started to burst out laughing because I realized they're all looking at each other like they think we're here. They're all here for us. Like, oh, brother, Yeah.
So they're saying to me,
as if we need this.
Exactly. That's the rolling of eyes thing. That's what's so hilarious. And so what they're saying to me as you're talking about this, that they are showing the way, like to the future. Like if we really understood autistic individuals, like they could be understood and really understood them, we would see that this is all about, learning how to converse in thought form. And they have so much to teach us.
Oh, totally. Because that's been my experience the whole time now. And I told you that the biggest takeaway I have from typing with my son is he's opened up my telepathy.
Yeah.
So I feel even more so, I realized how open I was to all of that my whole life anyway. It kind of made me recognize it, but it bumped it up several notches too. So yeah, there's a lot, but I feel like there is the veil here is so it won't get out of the way. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I feel like I just heard artificially being held.
Yeah, I just heard the words "that is coming." Okay, so this has something to do not just with the individual. They just said gradual approach. Okay, so it has something to do with the individual, but that we're part of the collective. So that as the veil. They're showing as the veil thins even more, there will be some that it will come first to, and then it's like, hey, because everybody's got to come. Yeah. The first of us will be open up to these higher gifts and being able to see and hear more. Mm-hmm. And but it's just one long continuum they're showing, and that is to come is what they're saying. But we have to the first wave of us has to enter into that, which is starting to happen now gradually. We always say we want our gifts so much faster, but they're all getting an uptick. But it's coming. They keep saying that it's coming to be able to communicate in thought form, because as people start transcending this as just the 3D parents and all that don't have autism and that have autistic children. This is something that we can all experience and learn as we move into the higher frequencies. Oh, this might be the forerunner to our thought communication. It feels like they're here for a reason, that reason.
Yeah, they did teach nonverbal communication. Yeah. It was funny. This lady walked up to me. I went to a Carolyn conference one time, and she's there. It was astrology kind of psychic. She's a super awesome lady. I had not met her yet. I just walked in. And I was in the conference room, in this big ballroom that they were having this conference in. And she had something kind of set up at the back, and I just had gotten 10 feet in the door, and she walks up to me and says, "Your son is very special." I said, "Yes, thank you. Yes, I know." And she said, "Don't ever give him medication. He's here, and don't ever try to make him talk. He's here to teach nonverbal communication." No. And I'm like, "Hi, I'm Jennifer."
Exactly. Oh my God. But here's the synchronicity for that. I mean, that's what I'm very much getting. It's very strong, very incoming strong, that this is the forerunner to, if the rest of us can just figure this out, that this is what they're here for, and somebody takes the reins and starts working this. And you know what they did? They're telling me that those who came in with autism, they just said they took the great leap. Okay, so what they did was, this was not a gradual thing. It was more like, okay, they just said to expand our way of thinking. It's like there's such a gap between us who write verbally, who don't have autism, and those who do have autism. There's such a gap of understanding, right? And what they're saying is, those who chose to incarnate as autistic took the great leap to be able to offer in the first understandings of thought communication. This makes so much sense, that if we can learn how this works, they're actually here to teach everyone this. But we got to get our act together. Well, as we're going through Ascension, this is going to happen, though. This is going to start to happen.
So what I was saying to myself, how I was feeling, that I'm smiling while I'm feeling like shit, or I'm thinking things, and then I start paying attention to the way I was thinking, the things I was saying to myself that I wasn't even paying attention to, until I realized someone else is listening. So it was like it changed me, because I realized there is no secrets from him.
No.
He hears everything I'm thinking. He feels all my feelings. So it completely changed my dynamic, and it changed the way I took care of myself. I started talking to myself a lot nicer too.
Yes. And they say that's what I've read somewhere, and it's always stuck in my mind, that I think it was Dolores Cannon, I was reading once, where they were talking, the hypnosis part, where they talk about the other lives, and the other lives come through, and another life came through for this person through another being that they'd been. And they talked about thought and how you mind your thoughts. I mean, because everybody can know what you're thinking. And so therefore, and remember, thoughts are things. So what you're manifesting then isn't all this crap out of your thought, right? Because you're minding your thoughts more, because everybody sees your thoughts. It actually, then manifests in the outside world. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So I'm
turn into things.
Okay, I hope you enjoyed this. I really don't have anything more to say, because I think it was all in the video. And I thank you so much for joining me. We've got May right now, which feels a little more, they just said the word comforting. It is. It feels, they just said gentler. Okay. And it is the 11th of May right now. So we're into May. And as you know, we've got June coming up, which is going to be powerfully energetic. So this is a great opportunity for us to they just said, that's interesting. They said, roll into yourself. Roll into yourself. Oh, I have so many chills. I don't even know what that means. I guess like really focusing on the gentleness of yourself. And okay, they're showing rolling gentle waves. It doesn't mean we're not going to still do our work, but there's something, they said with ease and grace. Okay, so I was trying to make a point here that this should be a calmer month. Doesn't mean you're not still going to be working on things. But remember, what we're doing is we're starting to pull in the energies of the manifestation and creation of our new earth, and actually seeing this start to take place and happen. But remember, it's all coming from inside out. What you want for yourself, what you want inside out, not what's outside there to then be created. Don't focus on that. Focus on what you feel, what you know, what you believe, what you want, what you desire. And in this age of Aquarius energy, this will then start to manifest out. So it's all about us individually continuing to do our work. We have a flow of ease and grace right now in the month of May. And then from there, what we're seeing is what no longer serves us, what we want in our journey, and that we know we are creators and we can create from the inside out. We're all starting to see more and more of this. Remember, this is a gradual process, but we get these big blips of like energetics that then shift and change us. So it's not about what the outside world is doing. It's about what you're doing in here. Focus, focus, focus is what I have to say. And be thinking about the best life that you can live and what you desire and dream of. And stay in that mindset of gentleness and flow and what you take in on a day-to-day basis. Because remember, you are the creator. You create for yourself first, from within, and then it shows up in the outside world. That's how we've gotten to where we are today in this world, because so much was created out of fear, but we're not doing that anymore. We are not doing that anymore. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. And as a reminder, check out my services, purplerainhealing.com, channeling, mentoring in your spiritual awakening and ascension journey, and distance energy healing. I offer all kinds of services that help you understand your journey better, whether it's you decide to have a channeled session with me and just get a little bit of information to guide you forward or cross-check on some things, or if you want to work with me continually for a while, for as long as you want, and we'll delve into what's going on a regular basis in your ascension and awakening journey. So check it out, purplerainhealing.com, and I am so grateful you are here. I love your comments. I learn from you guys as much as hopefully you learn from me and the light keepers and the information that comes through. And thank you so much for joining me. I will see you in the next video.